Right, welcome. So in this particular session, we are going to be taking the last aspect of um, flow of control flow, which is the while loop. The while loop. So what's a while loop and how does it work? So last class we saw for loop, and we one thing that is particularly interesting about for loop is that whenever um, you know the best way to put it is that for loop has a break condition that is already inside it just because there is an upper boundary. What does that mean? But I should say for I in range 5, then print do something. So what that means is that this code is automatically going to break after 5 trials. It's only going to do something 5 times. And it's interesting because sometimes you want to write programs that they have dynamic break conditions, or you want something else to break it, something that you explicitly give to it at during execution. So that is you just don't want it to break because of the fact that it got to the upper boundary. Do you understand? And that happens you need that in several cases. In cases where you want to just have a program run and rerun and rerun till it find something that's going to break it. So that is what while loop is. And the way I like to think about it is majority of the things, almost everything that you can do with a for loop, you probably can do with a while loop. You might need some better structuring. For example, this one that we just wrote here, the while loop way of doing this is going to be to set counter. So we can say counter equals 0, and we can say while counter is less than 5, then we can print do something with while loop, right? So if you do something with while loop, then print this. No, we have to increase counter as we go on. Say counter, because if we don't do that, this code will run forever. Counter plus equals 1. So these are our way of saying, okay, after every execution, you increase counter. So if we should run this, it says do something with while loop 5 times, which is kind of like what we just did earlier. So if we remove this with while loop, I know you know this. Just do something like this. It's going to be do something 5 times, like the exact way that the for loop did it, although we have to modify the code a little bit. So now, which now brings us to the main thing. This guy stopped by getting to this upper boundary, which is what for loop does every single time. This is what for loop, this is what happens inside for loop every single time. I can put if statement here and all of that. But sometimes you want something brilliant, something more flexible that can help you do different things. And you can just, have it running and running and running. And majority of the code that we've been writing, we can always wrap all of them within a while loop. For example, let's go into our if and check one of those functionalities. So, for example, this program here that checks scores, we can wrap it within a while loop, and it will just keep running, running until somebody tells it to stop. So how can we do that? Let's come here and say write a program that checks if someone passed or failed a course or failed a course. Program should run until teacher stops it, by typing Q. So whenever the teacher types Q, the program stops. So let's write it. We set up the while loop. And how do we do that? The way to do that would be to say while true. And we use while true in situations where, you know, we want like generic condition. We just want this thing to run, right? And the reason is because the default state of things in Python is true until you turn like you explicitly say, okay, oh, this thing should be false. So I'm gonna say while true, then we can come here and say um if someone passed or failed a course. So we're gonna say score equals input, then we can go enter your score, then what we want to do is we want to add an if statement to check if it is not say to check if this is not the manager trying to stop this thing. So we're going to say if score equals q, that is if score is the word q, we are going to break print thank you, like thank you, then we break, or you can just break directly. This print thank you is just, you know, something polite to return after the execution. So else we are not breaking it. This person has entered a valid score. What we want to do is reverse the one. Change that score to to a float. So the score equals float score. Then we go like we start doing the check. So we say if score is less than 50, I always like to constrain to the left. We'll print you failed, you failed the course. Then we can say else you passed the course. Print, that is they are greater than 50. So let's see how this works. If we come here and run this, it says enter your score. If we should pass in 45, it says you failed the course. Now it's asking the next person to like enter their score. So 67, you know, you passed the course. 230, you passed the course. Something like that. So what if we now want to stop it? If we just passing, you see, it allows us to keep entering, like re-entering the score over and over and over again. Right. So if we should pass in Q here, it breaks and says thank you. Right. So that is basically how this works. And this was made possible because we have our while true. So this program can, you know, it will keep running and running until we pass in the break condition. What is going to break the particular thing? And these are kind of like what we used to, you know, write something. All of the stuff that we've been writing. For example, we could take this program that performs one of the programs that does login or stuff like that. Well, yeah, this particular login, let's wrap it around the while loop. So I can add a new code cell here and Control V, excuse me, Control V. So we want to write a program that performs a login, and also, so this is not going to be nested if. This program is going to perform a login and also sign up a new user. So it has this ability for, a login, and if we check to see if your password is correct, if your password is not correct, we are going to add new stuff for you. So this is what we want to do. Firstly, we want to like take out this particular database here, Control X. So let's start with an empty database, right? Like we do not have a single user. We do not have a single user. So we should go here and say print type fake database equals dict dictionary. Great. So if we come here and we are going to like create this here. So let's write the remaining stuff so I can paste it here. So the first thing we want to do is we want to, let me remove this. We want to get our while loop. Say while true. Now we want to come in here and tap this whole thing in. So while true, we are going to accept your username, then check if the user exists, like we did earlier in the last class. If the user does not exist in the database, we say user not found. But we are not just going to say user not found. We will ask them if they want to register. Do you want to register? To enter Y or N. That is the enter Y or N. And A, we're going to add another if that checks if it is Y or N. So we say if um okay, this should not be a print, it should be an input. So I'm going to say decision equals input, then all of this. So we say, like this. So we are saying decision equals user not found. Do you want to register? Enter, then yes or no. Then we can come here and say if decision equals Y, that is, this person says they would like to register. What we are going to say is tell them to choose a password. So we say new password, or we can just even say password. Password equals another input, and we say choose a password. I can say f string welcome username, choose a password. So the moment they enter a password, we create their account. So how do we create their account? We just say fake underscore database of their username. It's going to be equals to the new password they created. So that is the way that works. Then else, if they enter no, like I do not want to register an account, so we say else a leaf actually a leaf. Then we come to this place, we say a leaf decision equals n. Then we print. We don't need to thank them, just break. So we break that. Now we are doing if elif because the only thing that we are allowing you to type is either y or n. So if you type something else, it's just going to pass silently, nothing is going to happen. So here we've added the sign up functionality. So if the decision is yes, we onboard them. If no, we let them go. then the password and every other thing is perfect. So if we come here now and this is always going to run, like this is always going to run. But what we want to do is, if someone is able to get their password right, like the password goes through correctly, uh, we break. Like if we have access granted, then we should break. But if it is incorrect password, you probably want to do like, do you want to change your password? So here also we can input that and go decision equals input f string incorrect password. Do you want to change your password? Your password. Then we can come here and say enter y or n, meaning enter yes or no. So again, another if within that. So if decision equals y, as usual, means they want to change their password. What do? We say fake underscore database, or we can say new password, new underscore password. We accept the password first. New underscore password equals that is going to be input. Let me say enter the new password. Then, excuse me. So we are going to just do um fake underscore database of this person's username. Also, we'll just update that particular name, and that is going to be equals to the new password that they've chosen. New underscore password. Then else we print, else we pass, like we just take them to the top because we do not need to tell to even take yes. So we just say enter y or nothing. So if they don't enter y to change, I mean, this is not going to be a good UX, but you get the gist. So if we should come here now, they change their password, it takes them back to login, and if not, it breaks out. So yeah. So unless if they don't say yes, if they say anything else, you can just go else. Then we pass, so that we give them the only another opportunity to like enter the password again. So basically, this happens multiple times, right? So if the only time we escape this loop, like we go out, is when that person enters the correct password and we say access granted, we break, or if they are not a user and they are not interested in signing up, we also break. So let's run this, and it goes username. And if I go, well, we don't have any user currently. If I say Fola, it says user not found because, well, this is an empty database currently. So do you want to register? Enter Y or N. If I say N, I do not want to register. So it breaks and nothing happens. We are done. Now, if I should run this again and says Fola Kemi again, and it says user not found, do you want to register? Enter Y or N. Yes, I want to register. It says welcome Fola Kemi, choose a password. I say 1234. Now it has logged me in. If I should go Fola Kemi and I say enter, it says I Fola Kemi, enter your password. If I go 345, which is the wrong password, it says incorrect password. Do you want to change your password? Enter Y to change. No, I don't want to change. It takes me back to the beginning. Like enter your username again. I say Folakemi, like just to sign in again. Because I know my password. So I go 1234, and once I enter, it says access granted and stops me. So let's see if the change password thing works. So we can go here and say Folakemi Enter your password 235. Incorrect password. Do you want to change it? Yes, I want to change it. Says enter the new password is 990. Enter. Asking me to log in now. Folakemi again. Enter I Folakemi password 990, and it says access granted because we've changed the password to 990. So that's basically one of the application of while true, especially in cases where you have decisions that breaks things and you're passing them in explicitly within the data. So for the last one that we are going to be looking at is when we are performing search within a particular space, and the moment Python finds the criteria within the search, it breaks it. So let's use something like we are going to use while loop for this also. So let's take this next problem, and that's going to be to write a program that returns the LCM of two numbers. So we can go, let's call those numbers num1 equals, so int input first number. So you know what LCM is? The lowest common multiple of two numbers. Say num2 and say second number. Then we need to specify, which number is greater, right? So we're going to say if num1 is greater than num2, then we can say greater equals num1, then else greater equals num2. So after this, the next thing is, because we are doing this, we need to find out which number is greater between the two of them. And we are doing that because in some cases, you want to find the LCM of 2 and 4, which is just basically 4. So that's to show you that you need to actually like distinguish which one is greater or which one isn't. So we say while true, we begin to search. So we say if greater, let's say 2 and 4 now. So we are saying if 4 modulus the first number 2 equals 0, and greater modulus num2, I'm sorry, it should be num1 and num2, not equals 0. So this is not supposed to be 2 num1. That is, if num1 can go in greater and num2 can go in greater, it means we found the LCM. So we just print f string LCM of um num1 and num2 is greater, right? Else, that is, let's say we are looking for LCM of 2 and 4. It says can, and our greater is 4. So can 2 go in 4 perfectly? Yes. Can 4 also go in 4 perfectly? Yes. So that means we found our LCM. Else, if we haven't found our LCM, we keep increasing, we continue our search. Greater plus equals 1, and we move on. And the moment we find our LCM, we are supposed to break. Like the moment we find the LCM, we break. So else we don't break, we continue. Greater plus equals 1, greater plus equals 1, like that, like that. So let's give this a spin and check. So if we run this, it says first number, let's use the 2 and 4 that we used from earlier. Second number 2, it says LCM of 4 and 2 is 4. This works. Let's check 2 and 5. 2 and 5, that should be 10. Then I don't know which one again. We can check the LCM of 6 and 12. 6 and 12. So that is 12 because 12 can go in 6. 6 can go in 12 and 12 can also go in 12. So that is that. And how are we doing that? We are conducting a search. And if we have something that fulfills the search, we break. Else, we continue our search. We continue our search. And that is basically the application of while true for while loop. And while loop helps us to keep a program running till we have a particular condition that breaks it. So with that said, that brings us to the end of the session on while loop. And in the next class, we are going to be looking at functions. And see you in the next one. Thank you.